You know the exact feeling. The initial spark hits you, a brilliant concept for a new channel, a startup business, or a creative project. So you get to work. You spend the next 3 weeks buying the perfect microphone, hyper-organizing your Notion workspace, and consuming every single how-to guide on the internet. You feel incredibly busy. You are staying up late, you feel exhausted, and yet you haven't produced a single piece of tangible output. Most people look at this cycle and conclude they have a discipline problem. They assume they are lazy, lacking willpower, or that they simply need a little more time to get completely ready. What you are actually experiencing is productive procrastination. This is a highly sophisticated psychological hiding place, engineered to give your brain a satisfying hit of dopamine for doing work, while completely protecting you from real-world judgment. This illusion of progress actively masks a biological state of complete paralysis. We have a specific name for this state. It is called freeze mode, and it is a hardwired evolutionary mechanism. This diagram illustrates the glitch. On one side, an emotional risk, like publishing work. On the other, a physical predator. Your brain fails to distinguish them. The same chemical fight or flight response floods your system, whether staring down a lion or a publish button. This inability to click publish or launch a business stems from an overactive survival instinct doing precisely what it evolved to do, keep you safe from perceived danger. Paralyzing inaction is the body successfully executing a deeply flawed biological protocol. This brings up an interesting question. Why do highly capable, intelligent people often suffer the most from this biological freeze? High achievers often internalize their success as a core part of their identity. This creates a fixed mindset, where the ego demands a flawless outcome at all times to protect its own self-image. This dynamic creates a perverse incentive. By never finishing, the ego stays safe. Choosing to be seen as lazy but full of potential feels more secure than risking a messy first attempt that might be judged as average. This flowchart shows the flawed logic of motivation. Preparation leads to confidence, unlocking action, hitting a red bottleneck. The true biological order puts action first, triggering a neutral feedback loop that eventually accumulates into genuine confidence. As long as you prioritize your ego over taking that initial action, your project is guaranteed to die in the planning phase. Reframing failure as a mandatory biological mechanism for gathering neutral data removes the existential weight from the process. The goal here is straightforward. Bypass your brain's threat detection system entirely by drastically lowering the stakes. The first tactic involves lowering the bar until the first required step is ridiculously small. You want a task so minor that it fails to trigger your body's fight or flight alarm. The second tactic is demanding a shitty first draft. Intentionally producing something terrible right out of the gate shatters the ego's demand for perfection before it can take hold. Stripping action of the burden of expectation effectively short-circuits the freeze response. Radical self-compassion serves as a functional utility in this process. It allows you to convert setbacks into feedback loops instead of personal indictments. There is a quiet devastation to a life lived in permanent temporary safety. Now, compare that to the chaotic, rewarding reality of actually pushing your true potential out into the open. Confident action is the specific reward you earn for surviving a messy, failed first attempt. Start before you feel ready. Choosing inaction is the only true guarantee that you will fail.